So you've heard about CrossFit, you want to do CrossFit, but how do you get started in CrossFit? My name is Pat, and I've been doing this forever. Not actually forever, but it's been a long time. It's been about 18 years in this space, and I've done everything in it, from being like a random high school kid just trying to get by, to competing at the top levels, to coaching and everything in between. I want to help you get started, so here's 5 things that are going to help you get started. Number 1, you have to find a gym. How do you find a gym? Well, at CrossFit.com, they actually have a place on the website that has all the gyms in your area. You can simply Google it if you wanted to as well, but CrossFit.com has the official gym list for the gyms in your area. Now, something to know about CrossFit is it's not a franchise. It's actually a licensee model. So people license the name and then run their businesses how they want, which means you're gonna get a different experience from gym to gym, depending on the gym that you walk into. Each gym represents a little bit of the owner who put it together and the coaching staff and community that they've created. So they're gonna offer unique experiences from gym to gym. The same general thing will be there, which is CrossFit as a methodology, but that can look different from place to place. For me, the biggest thing when you go to check out a gym is to meet the people. If you can, meet some of the members and watch a class and see if it looks like a place that you'd want to be. There's very different communities, some that prioritize competition, some that prioritize community and scaling. And I would say that finding a gym that fits your own personal style would be much more beneficial to you than just the nicest, most expensive one in town. So go check out a few gyms in your area and see which one feels the best to you. When you meet the people, how do they greet you when you walk in the door? Do they look at you? Do they acknowledge you? And do they have a conversation that makes sense to you and you want to come back there just based on that alone? Number 2, wear the right clothes. And you need hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of really fancy gear. No, not at all. CrossFit gear is actually simply a pair of shoes and some shorts. Shorts, I guess, are even optional. It could be long pants, it could be spandex, whatever you want to do. You just need to be able to move in them. It needs to be something stretchy. Don't show up to your first class in jeans, even stretchy jeans, because it's going to be uncomfortable. Now, when picking a shoe, this actually is a little bit more important. So picking a shoe, you want to pick a shoe that's relatively flat. Big, cushy running shoes actually make it harder to do a lot of movements where you're trying to stay balanced. They're made to roll you to the ball of the foot and the toe, and a flatter shoe like a Chuck Taylor or a Vans or an indoor soccer shoe, or even one of the fancy CrossFit shoes made by Noble or Nike or Reebok. Those are kind of out there these days. But we're looking for a flatter shoe if at all possible. It'll make the rest of the class that you do that much easier. So bring the right gear. Pants you can move in, and a pair of shoes. That's it. Number 3, when you show up to class, when you get there and you're talking to the coaches, you want to be as open and honest and communicative with those coaches as possible. Preferably you've chosen a place where the coaches actually talk to you. That's a good thing. And have that communication back and forth, like what you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with, and hopefully they'll make you feel as good as you possibly can in that scenario. It's not easy. CrossFit is hard, but there are plenty of ways that we can meet you wherever you're at, as long as you go to the right place, talk to the coach, and they know what's going on with you. If you've got a little tweak in your shoulder, let them know that. If you've got a little tweak in your knee or your hip or your ankle, or you've got residual pain somewhere, just let them know so that they can properly teach you during the class and they don't end up doing something that overdoes it in the very first session. Even within the session, do your best to communicate as much as possible, kind of what you're feeling and how it's going for you. Usually coaches will be able to respond to this in a positive way and give you the best possible experience. Number 4, this is one big one that's important to me. It used to be part of all the ethos at every gym, but as CrossFit grew and became more mainstream, it kind of left the community a little, but please leave your ego at the door. It's one of those things where the ego really doesn't serve you in this space. If you come in with a chip on your shoulder, it just doesn't work. In many scenarios, if you come in thinking you're awesome, it just doesn't play out well, especially in CrossFit because the actual workouts are quite humbling. They're not easy no matter what level that you're at. So the less of an ego you have when you come in, the more ready to learn that you are, the better the experience will be for everyone involved. Now, a skilled coach should be able to handle you no matter what you come in with, regardless of whether you have an ego or not. But to make the experience as good as possible for you and everybody you're with, if you leave your ego at the door, just come in ready to absorb the information and do your very best at whatever level the coach deems fit for you, that's gonna be the best possible experience for everyone. This is one of those things too where, especially when you're first learning, if you come in with a chip on your shoulder or a big ego and you try to do something that you shouldn't, it could be potentially injurious for you. If you work within your reason and if you listen to your coaches and you start slow and scale up, you're gonna be far better off. So please leave your ego at the door. And lastly, I can make this list really long, but we're just gonna keep it with these 5. My big suggestion is when you're first starting, commit to at least a week, preferably more like a month you commit to. And when you commit to a week, let's just say it's a week, come at least 3 or 4 times and try to make at least the first 2 or 3 back to back. You don't want gaps. You don't want to come in and then take a gap and then come in again. You will end up so unbelievably sore by doing that it'll discourage you to the point of possibly not returning. It's something that as you train more, you get more inoculated to, but due to the nature of the intensity of these workouts and what they do to your internal systems, if you do these workouts and don't come in the next day, what ends up happening is you end up kind of freezing up. And you end up far more sore 2 days from the first day you did the workout. So try to do multiple sessions in the first week, regardless of how sore you are. Commit to it ahead of time, pay ahead of time, so that way you're committed to it both financially and emotionally. And try to, if you can, commit to a full month so you get the full experience, but 1 week should work too to kind of feel what that's like at that gym. Those are the 5 things that I would say would get you started in CrossFit. Find a gym, wear the right clothes, communicate well with your coaches, leave your ego at the door, and lastly, commit to a few sessions so that way you don't end up unbelievably sore. My name is Pat, and as always, stay virtuous.